Well, for more on Venezuela's economy, let's bring in Steve Hanke. He's a professor of applied economics at Johns Hopkins University. He's also served as the chief advisor to former Venezuelan President Rafael Caldera. Professor Hanke is considered the world's leading expert on hyperinflation. Professor, welcome to the show. First, your methodology is based on the principle of purchasing power parity. Is there any of that in Venezuela?
Well, there isn't much, and as a result, actually, I'm the only one measuring accurately the inflation rate every single day. And today, the inflation rate is 2,205% per year, and the monthly inflation rate is 81.6%. That's today. Now, you mentioned the IMF figure. The IMF doesn't measure anything. The IMF doesn't really know what's going on. They put their finger in the wind, and they make a forecast. So the number you gave isn't a measurement. It's just their guess at where the inflation is going to be by the end of December. And of course, they're off, way off every year, 6,000%. There's no way it's going to get that high by the end of the month. But anyway, that's a technical detail. The point is, they've been in hyperinflation for over 5 years in Venezuela. It's a very long hyperinflation, very brutal.
The Maduro government, and before him, obviously, Hugo Chavez, blamed Western powers for affecting Venezuela through things like sanctions. Is there merit in that, or is this hyperinflation direct consequence, in your opinion, of failed domestic economic policies?
Well, it's failed domestic economic policies, but I must say the sanctions, I'm totally against sanctions any place, including Venezuela. And the reason we have Maduro, he's ushered in this huge hyperinflation, and he's still in the saddle. He's still in power. He's more entrenched than ever. And the reason why is because of the sanctions. He points to the sanctions and says, the Americans and Europeans and a lot of Latin American countries are at war with us. And the Venezuelans tend to rally around the flag when you have sanctions like that. They think they're being attacked, which they are. So thanks to sanctions, and I would say literally stupid economic and diplomatic policies by the United States and its allies, we've still got Maduro. The only reason we have Maduro is because of the United States.
It was reported last month that President Maduro was considering official dollarization of Venezuela's economy. That's something you proposed 25 years ago when you were advising President Caldera. It was reported that consumer prices in Venezuela rose 65.7% in November. The bolivar is practically worthless, and more people are using the dollar anyway. So is it not a de facto dollarization there?
Well, it is. You're exactly right. About 80% of all the transactions taking place in Venezuela right now are actually in U.S. dollars. And so I think there's a fairly good chance that Maduro will just turn the page and officially dollarize. That he's instructed his central banker to begin discussions with private banks as well as state banks in Venezuela about the possibility of dollarizing, and I think he will. Why not? Everything is dollarized anyway. As you say, de facto, this is called spontaneous dollarization, and it's up about 80%. And most of the population, I had a survey done about 3 years ago, and 65% of the population at that time favored dollarization, official dollarization. Now, my guess is that percentage must be up around 90% of the people would favor it. So, you know, Maduro can get a good pulse of what's going on in the street. And if you have 90% of the people wanting official dollarization, you're going to get it.
What are some things that Venezuela should do now to reverse course on its economy?
Well, there's one and only one thing, and that's dollarization. Dollarization officially would smash hyperinflation, instill some confidence in things, and stabilize things. And stability might not be everything, but everything is nothing without stability. So that would stabilize the situation. See, this is the problem with Guaido and the opposition. They've never had an economic game plan. They don't even know, I don't think, what the word plan means. And if they would have grabbed onto dollarization and had that as their mantra, the population would have gotten behind them, and we would not see a vote like we had today. We would see one in which the opposition won and is staying in the saddle. Now, you saw there were very few people that showed up for the election, only 31%, and 67% of those voted for the Madeira side of the ticket.
Steve Hanke, Professor of Applied Economics at Johns Hopkins University, thank you for joining us.